Welcome to a brand new episode of You, Me, and these are a podcast series that I'm.
Pizza, you're breaking. Shit. Wait. Oh, man. Man, what the hell is happening? Wait, let me just...
Wait, let me see.
Like, why is it breaking? I don't understand.
Mariam, is it better now?
Yeah, right now it's better. Yeah. But I'm like in the proximity of the router. So maybe it's the router. I don't know. Like, so should we like start from the very beginning or?
Yeah, so this happened in the middle of our podcast recording, so I'm going to fill you in really quickly. This is a brand new episode of You, Me, and a Mug of Tea, and my guest today is Mariam Iskhakova from Russia. The file in the beginning got corrupted and the signal was so bad that my audio didn't get recorded, so here I am filling you in, and now we'll continue with the podcast. Exactly. That's why we call you a snow queen, because in Siberia, I believe it gets so cold and it snows so much that it reaches up to your knees.
Well, it's not exactly up to your knees. I mean, it depends, I guess, what part of Russia you're in. Like, maybe if you're like, it could be more snowy than here, but sometimes it really much depends on the weather. Like, it can get snowy, yeah.
And you love the snow, right? You love winters and you love snow.
Yeah, sure, I do. I like winter is definitely one of my favorite times of the year. It's just so like magical and like it's super cuddly and it just makes me feel like at home, cozy. So if the winter is not really snowy, I feel a bit off.
It's a fun way to explain why you love winters. It's super cuddly. I like this. I don't think I've ever heard anybody describe their love for winters like this.
Yeah, it's like you jump into the snow, you make like the snow star, snow fish, whatever they call this. And like then you make the snowman and you can cuddle with the snowman, I guess. And you play the snowballs with your friends and so it's really fun, I think. It's just engaging. That's why.
That's interesting. Yeah. And you also, I remember you made killer hot chocolates and killer coffees as well.
Yeah, that's why it's like the best time of the year to have your coffee or hot chocolate. Yeah, it's like, I'm really more of a winter, like fall person because I don't like the heat that much. As you probably know, I start melting really fast. Snow green and like literally start dying. So which is why I'd rather prefer having my my clothes on, like my sweater and my coffee with me.
I need to mention here as well that Mariam bakes amazing. The cookies, I remember you made us those, what were they called? Gingerbread cookies?
Oh, yeah, gingerbread. Yeah.
Yeah, you made those for us and you bake cakes often. And so where did your love for baking come from?
Well, my mom bakes a lot. Ever since she was a kid, like when she was 7 years old, she started cooking for her family because her mom was always at work and her dad as well. So she started cooking for her and for her younger sister. And we have a lot of family recipes. And when I was 13, I realized that I really love reading about different cuisines. We even had like a bunch of cookbooks back home about international cuisine. So I started off by making a brownie, which was like, the American cake, like fudge cake. And it didn't turn out quite as a brownie, but it was really fun. And then I just started cooking more and more for my classmates, for my friends. And even now I still bake a lot for my family.
You do bake a lot, and I've also been one of the lucky ones who had the honor of tasting Mariam's baking. And I remember it was not cold back then. I think it was summers or maybe springtime when you baked for us, and that was really nice. And also another thing that I want to mention here, that Mariam is not only a good baker, she's also a good chef, and she likes to cook as well. And as we're recording this podcast, after this, Mariam has to cook dinner for her family. So, Mariam, what are you going to cook, and what are some of the favorite dishes that you love to cook?
Tonight is going to be a really simple meal. I'm going to cook a fish. Just basically, I'm going to make a fish stew with some onions, maybe some potatoes. And as a side dish, I'm probably going to chop up some salad, like just normal vegetables, like, like tomatoes, lettuce and stuff. And perhaps maybe cook a pasta or something, or rice. So normally we make simple home food, I would say, but I love to explore fusion cuisine. So I like to make all kinds of Asian stir fries. Then I love Italian, French cuisine, and it's just I cannot really choose one specific dish, if you can say so, because there's just so many varieties, and that would be really difficult to land on just one. So it's always really miscellaneous, like a mix of of all different cuisines. Yeah.
But tonight's meal doesn't sound so simple. I mean, it's fish stew, it's salad, it's rice or pasta. It sounds like a feast to me.
I don't know. Maybe it's just the way we are used to have our meals back in Russia. Like, I don't know if you heard about it, but when you go and visit your Russian friends or their families, they say, oh, let's have some tea. And what they mean by tea, they put up a whole table of food with like jams, biscuits. Then there's also like sandwiches, salads. Like it's a full table. So it's never really a tea, like afternoon tea in UK, let's say. So
it's like hospitality at its best.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really adorable. And you're going to cook fish tonight, and right now you're at the summer house, you call it, by the river that you have. So is it fresh fish caught from that river?
Oh no, it's actually frozen, but yeah. But you can actually, but I really don't like fishing, so I don't do it. But sometimes my one of my close friends here, we're actually neighbors, she catches the fish and then she gives it to us and we just cook it. So yeah.
That's really sweet of her.
Yeah, it's always like that. I mean, we're all like a family. There are actually many pikes in our river. It's a type of fish, pike.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, Mariam, before we continue to where you are right now in life and what you're doing and what you want to do, I want to talk about your parents because they are a super interesting bunch. Your father is from Tatarstan, right?
Well, yeah, he was Tatar. Yeah. I wouldn't say Tatarstan, but he was born in Siberia. Just his parents were Tatar, like full blood.
That's interesting because Tatarstan or Tatar, the bloodline, it's something that's not really commonly heard of. And when you mention Tatar or Tatarstan, people usually just, shake their heads first, like all confused and stuff, like, who are you talking about? And then you have to explain to them, oh, it's near Russia or it's in Russia. Even I'm not sure, in fact. So I would love it for you to clear up and tell us a bit about the Tatar culture.
Well, Tatarstan is actually a republic of Russia. And how can I say? It's actually located in the Eastern Europe, right? And like its city, the capital is, the largest city is Kazan. And it's really, really beautiful. Its architecture is really gorgeous. And they have lots of beautiful, buildings, both traditional architecture and more of the post-Soviet architecture, and the religion is Muslim. So there are actually a lot of mosques there. And my sister visited Kazan in September 2020 and she fell in love with it. And the Tatar cuisine, it's really similar to Uyghur cuisine. Or the Uyghurs that are in China. So we have lots of dishes with meat, with beef, actually. And like beef pies, for instance, my mom often makes this really amazing beef pie with potatoes, onions, and beef itself. And it's really like juicy. And the dough is made of butter, flour, and that's all. So it's kind of a crumbly dough, like a biscuit dough. And therefore, that's pretty much it. And they have, like, the culture is similar to ours. I don't really follow exactly the etiquette and lib rules of Tatarstan because, well, I'm just half Tatar and we were never Muslim. So I don't even speak the language. But
so they do have their own local language.
Yeah, they do have their local language. Yeah, they do. And
that's interesting. So this is why your name is Mariam, because your father was born in a Muslim household.
Yeah, so to say, yeah. I mean, actually, they were not like exactly Muslim either. They were not like religiously engaged, and it's just like the nationality, and we had just like some traditional dishes and everything, and sometimes we would celebrate some of the holidays. So, which is why, my name is Arabic.
Mariam is a very common Muslim name. In fact, I have a cousin whose name is Mariam. Remember, I told you once. So it's a very common name. So when people hear that, she's Mariam from Russia, they get really confused that, wait a minute, why is a Russian girl named Mariam? So this is the background, and it's really interesting. And plus, you are mixed blood.
Yeah.
So, do you feel special about it in some way?
No, not really. I mean, if you look at it, actually, Russia is full of immigrants. It has hundreds of nationalities. And I wouldn't say that you can find a purely blooded Russian, with like typical Russian and Slavic features, because there are just so many of us, and I'm not even sure what the other half consists of, to be honest with you. Like, my mom tells me that we have Georgian blood, we have some maybe gypsies as well, and just Russians, maybe Ukraine. It's just all mixed up. So I would probably have to take a DNA test to find out. I'm sure many Russians would tell you the same.
Oh, this is interesting. You mentioned the DNA test, because it's really with the advancements in science and technology. This DNA test is so cool. It tells you the entire history of your bloodline. You're this percentage, for example, you're this percentage Pakistani, this percentage Russian, this percentage Chinese, this percentage Georgian, I don't know. So it's really cool to know, because even me, I'm also a cocktail of so many things, as you said, because Russia was massive before it was the Soviet Union. So I'm pretty sure people met each other, from long distances, and everybody kind of cohabitated. What's the word? So even when Pakistan and India and Bangladesh were one country, when we were the great Indian subcontinent, our people were also mingling a lot. So even I have blood from India, from Kashmir, in fact, maybe from, some other countries. So it's interesting to know that we are a cocktail, but you are directly mixed blood, since your father was born to Tatar parents, and your mom is Russian. She was born in a Russian home.
She was born in Siberia as well, near Baikal. So one of the largest lakes in Russia and in the world. Yeah, but as I said, even though we have Russian citizenship, but it's a mix. It's a total cocktail. Yeah. All kinds of flavors. Yeah. So to speak.
Now let's talk about your mom. I want to add something interesting before we start talking about her, that her mom started training in learning how to tell about people's past, present, and future. And Mariam will tell in detail how she did that. And I'm personally really into these kinds of things. I believe that, the way the stars are positioned, they do affect our lives. And Mariam and I used to have these talks about, destiny and fate and whatnot. And one day she tells me that, her mom. And I remember then she sent me my entire reading. And I was so excited when she sent it. She sent it through Mariam. Again, this is really interesting to me.
Yeah, sure. But actually, I'm not sure you're talking about the reading. It's just, so we made you a natal chart where you can read about yourself and like your biography, so to say.
So is my natal chart, I mean, I don't know, but can a natal chart also predict the future?
Well, it's astrology, right? So it's a science, but many people say that it's actually not scientifically proven. But it's just the way she inputs your birth data and information born and stuff, and then she can create a natal chart. So based on the planets that were located on the sky, like during the specific time period, and it's going to be unique for every person who's trying to create a natal chart. So yeah, it's basically just reveals your personality traits, your talents, inclinations, and so on. The way astrology works, it either is correct or sometimes it is not. It pretty much depends. Sometimes it is really so precise and accurate that it's even sort of scary, you know, but it's just the way it works. I'm not even sure how to explain that because I'm not an astrologist myself, but that's what I know so far. There is a codependence. Yeah, there is connection. The way.
So is your mom still pursuing astrology?
Yeah, she does. She's still working as an astrologist, like from time to time, but not as much anymore.
Okay, let's move on to you now. We've spoken about your interesting parents. Now let's move on to the interesting child that they bore. Mariam, you have always been a super independent person. Even back in China, I remember that you were always wanted to build a life for your own self, by your own self. And while all of us were living in the dorm, you wanted an independent life, and I think you lived in the dorm for a while, and then you moved out to having your own apartments, and you dealt with so many Chinese landlords. You dealt with so many roommates, foreign and Chinese, and you dealt with apartment hunting and whatnot, that even when I was in Shanghai and I couldn't book a room in the dorm, I had to look for an apartment. You were the first person I contacted, and you gave me all the websites, where to look, who to speak to, because and you were also part of a lot of foreign roommates group chats on the WeChat, and you let me be a part of those. And it's because of you I found an apartment in Shanghai. So please give us a very interesting account on how you dealt with so many Chinese landlords, and one favorite episode and one least favorite episode that you had to go through with Chinese landlords.
Favorite episode? Well, honestly, I'm not sure I have any favorite episodes with Chinese landlords.
How come?
It was so troublesome most of the time. I feel like it was just bad luck probably, because like the first apartment I ever rented, or actually the room, not the entire apartment, it was a 4-bedroom and 2-bathroom apartment in Wudako. So Wudako is a university area in Beijing, and it's up in the north, and like there are lots of famous universities like Beijing and Tsinghua universities. And I found this apartment on website, I think, or through an agent. Yeah, actually that was through an agent. And whenever there was an issue, they were so slow at solving it. And the landlord, apparently, he was part of some sort of Chinese mafia. I'm not sure. But it was just so hilarious because, you know how they do random checks once per year, the police in China?
They do?
They check apartments, yeah, for illegal, like
activities.
Rooms. Yeah, for illegal activities, and also for illegal rooms or built-ins. You know? Like
if a room is separated by a wall, a makeshift wall, that's illegal.
Yeah, exactly. So they found out that the plan that we submitted to the police station had only 3 rooms. So the apartment plan, and the apartment itself had obviously 4 rooms, because the landlord has put a wall between the living room and the balcony. to separate and create a room. And when they found out, they put a notice on our apartment and told all of us that we are being evicted and we need to move within 2 days. And when we contacted the landlord, he told us that, well, it is what it is. And we can never even return our deposit or our rent because we paid 3 months upfront and we never got a 2 months payment whatsoever.
So you lost money and you lost an apartment.
I lost around, I think around 9,000 kwai.
That's a lot of money for the listeners. To give them an estimate, one kwai is for yuan, and yuan is the Chinese currency. So 9,000 yuan is a lot of money in Pakistan, at least, because 1 yuan is equal to 23 rupees right now. So you can multiply 9,000 with 23, and that's so much money I cannot even calculate. You lost that much, and you lost a roof over your head. Then what happened?
Yeah, that was crazy because I didn't know what to do. But thankfully, at that time, I still had my sister staying in Beijing. And that was just before she was about to move to Shanghai in a few months. And I stayed with her for around 2 months, I think. And then the last remaining month, that was June, I stayed at her best friend's apartment. So he was kind enough to let me in and stay for an entire month at his place. And then I went back home. And then I also moved to Shanghai. So it was a really adventurous episode of my life. And it was really the least favorite episode with the landlord. And to be honest with you, I don't think I have a favorite. Oh, actually, I do have one. Yeah, I remember there was a good episode. Okay. We rented out a 2-bedroom apartment in the city center of Shanghai with my sister. And it was an old Chinese building. And it was actually more of an, not even an office building, but there were lots of offices in this house.
I remember I visited you there.
Yeah. So
it was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was many offices and many companies, the private ones, are trying to save up money on the rent. And it's much cheaper to rent a small room in the compound. And therefore, we had a Chinese company next to us, which were extremely noisy. And it was sometimes even so hard to sleep. And we asked our landlord to put a wall in the hall between us and them. So they actually put a wall to separate us in the hall. They put a separate door. So when you open this door, you see a small hall, storage hall, where our stuff is, our shoes, and then there is a door on the right side where you can enter our apartment. So we got a small private space, and it got better. Yeah. With the noise.
That's really sweet. Do you think that's unlike typical Chinese landlord behavior?
Yeah, that's really unlikely. I think it depends how lucky you are, but this landlord in specific, she was really nice and she always solved our issues really quickly. And even though the apartment wasn't exactly a perfect one, given its price and quality ratio, but she had good manners.
That's good. And do tell us about the apartment hunting that you had to go through, because I think every time we met, there was just something going on with the apartment you were in, or there was something going on with looking for new apartments. I remember because it is, you're in a foreign country, right? And then if you are constantly stressing out about where to live, how do you even concentrate on your life, on your studies?
Yeah, but it was my own choice, right? Because I always had an option of staying at the dorm, and I just cannot handle the dorms anymore. Which is why I told myself, okay, I'm going to go through it. I'm going to go through all the hunting sessions and episodes, and I'm going to find my perfect place. I had so many contacts, and so I was in many WeChat groups and communities, which helped me a lot in finding my perfect spot. And I was always given those contacts by the people I trust. you know, like my sister added me to the group, and then one of my close friends in Shanghai has given me a contact of a good agent who found me my 1-bedroom apartment I stayed in for 1 year for, yeah.
I think that was the most stable home you found for yourself in China.
Yeah, that was a really great apartment in the heart of Shanghai, like only 1 station away from Jinan Temple, which is like the city center. Like, it was amazing location wise, and it was on the 6th floor, and it was the last floor of the building, so it was like old Chinese building, and it was like 1 bedroom, so it was really sweet. And but it's just, you know, you always have to go through and search, then you find something that suits your needs, and it's just always a tedious process. I feel like it's going to be the same in almost every country, and I feel like in Russia it could have been worse, you know, if I had to stay somewhere out. So
yeah. You mentioned that you didn't like staying at the dorms. Why is that?
So why I didn't like it? Primarily because of the lack of independence I had there. Because, you know, I like to organize home parties and invite my friends over. And, you know, I love to cook, and I love to cook in good conditions. And obviously the university dorms had those shitty kitchens, and we not even allowed to have a proper gas station, you know, like.
Yeah, they had those hot plates.
Yeah, like, and there was no oven, you know, and there was nothing to cook with. Therefore, I was really annoyed by the fact that, you know, I had to like always compromise and maybe order online and all that stuff. I don't like ordering that much food. So, because, you know, cooking saves you a lot of money.
It does. And I remember a lot of students used to cook, even in the dorm. I've lived only for 1 semester in an apartment in Shanghai, and that was only because I didn't get a room in the dorm. But you made a conscious choice of doing that. So cooking was the only reason that pushed you to look for a place of your own. And, you know, you have that independent spirit. And before you mentioned that looking for an apartment is a tedious process and you need to go through it all to find something that fits you perfectly. But I would want to add that it's not just for an apartment hunt. I think it's for literally everything in life. Don't you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, it's true.
So how do you deal with those things? Because you have faced many challenges. I think how can I say, from my interaction with you, the biggest challenge you had was to grow as an individual, to build an identity, and to have that emotional maturity to deal with things. And you actually went through a lot to be the woman that you are today. So tell us about that journey. What pushed you, and what made you change yourself? Because there are so many people who just think that, okay, they need to be better, but they just think and they don't really act upon it. But you, I've seen you grow as well. You acted upon all those changes that you wish to see in yourself. Talk about that journey with me.
Okay. Well, actually, if we talk about it, I'm not even sure where I should begin, because I feel like life is a continuous growth, and it's a journey of continuous growth. And I feel like every time when we tackle certain challenges and problems in our life, we grow to a certain extent. And what I did, I feel like, because living abroad, generally speaking, makes you way more mature comparing to living back home. Because back home you have your base, you have your parents most of the time.
True.
Right? And you speak the same language. The mentality is just, it's all very familiar. You don't have to get out of your comfort zone. And for me, because when I just got to China, I was 18 years old. I just graduated from high school. And obviously I was still like oblivious and really naive, and I didn't know many things about China and about people in general. I was just, I was really like, trusting everyone, basically.
Yeah.
I was not trying to see and to judge people objectively. It was just like I was living in my subjective reality,
True.
And I feel like that's what we all experience. But then at a certain point when, certain events occur, you realize that you have to change, and sometimes you have to adapt your behavior. And which is why I just read lots of books on psychology. I also had the support of my sister, of my friends, and that's when you just start thinking, oh, how can I, let's say, do this differently? You just remember what happened back then. Like maybe you take notes of the episode, like maybe like journaling really helps. You just write down your thoughts, and then you compare your previous self to yourself who you see now in the mirror, and then it just all changes. That's how you go through the transformation. And I feel like a lot really depends on your personality and your willingness to change, like, because some things happen unconsciously, and when you start noticing them, like this pattern, the behavior, then you can tackle it. I think that's what's really important, to actually stay aware of what is happening in your mind and your behavior.
One of the takeaways from what you just said is the willingness to change.
Yeah, the willingness.
That's really important. And as they say, where there's a will, there's a way. So, okay, let's pretend that something that happened previously, for example, when you were 19, 20 years old, let's compare it to today. Like if a situation like that happens today, do you think you will handle it differently from when you did when you were 19, 20 years old?
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to personal relationships, especially, I found myself always adapting to people's desires, and
yes,
just like I was a complete and total people pleaser. And even like when I had my boyfriends, my friends, it was always the same. And I feel like people would take advantage of me, and that happened really often, actually. And then when I realized that, I learned how to actually say no to people. And if there was like a thought where, like, let's say a person would try and force me into doing something, I would actually try and be firmer than I used to be before, for instance.
That's really interesting that you I love how confident you are as well about it, because this willingness, like you have the will to do a lot of things in life. And I think this is the hallmark of it, that you actually worked on how you want people to treat you in the end. Because I've also seen it that people have taken advantage of you. People have taken advantage of me as well at some points. And it's really not a nice feeling, because, on a personal level, you just think that, but my intentions were so pure with you. Why are you being mean about it? And in your case, it's such an oxymoron, because you are such a gorgeous woman. And I remember all the boys loved you, and all the girls also loved you. And you have this amazing sense of style, and your makeup was always on point, and everything was on point, and the way you carried yourself. But even then, people took advantage of you. So for all the young girls out there who are probably listening right now, who also are, gorgeous inside and out, and they're intelligent women, but they find people, their friends, men taking advantage of them. What advice would you give to those girls?
What advice? Well, I feel like sometimes we all just subconsciously, we don't believe in ourselves that we are good enough, and which is why we are trying to please the others. We are trying to constantly adapt. But then that's exactly not the point of what you should do whenever that happens. Because if a person is trying to tell you, oh, well, I feel like here you should have done this, and it's actually your fault, when they're trying to gaslight you, or when they're trying to pull this shit with you, you just gotta, stay true to your values and stick to what you actually believe, I feel. And because sometimes we even require like just this little boost of self-confidence, and actually thinking that you are enough, And it doesn't matter what the rest tells you, because as long as you love yourself and you believe in yourself, it's all going to be worth it in the end. You know, it's just all about how you treat yourself first and foremost. And you gotta.
That's beautiful.
Yourself. Yeah.
But where should one find courage to actually be firm and say no and believe in themselves?
Well, as for me, sometimes it was really painful to, just step up and say no, especially to people that you think you love, or maybe to the job offer you think is good enough, and say no. But sometimes you gotta communicate your value, and you gotta communicate who you are. And I know it's really difficult, and it takes some time. And for some of us even require going to a specialist, maybe going to therapy, sometimes it's really a difficult choice, because even I think I would definitely go into therapy if I could back then, because of all the experiences I had. And maybe now, just like talking to a specialist, it never hurts you. So if you find yourself being challenged by it and you think you can't really do it on your own, maybe you should try it.
Sometimes, because it's easy for us to talk about therapy as well, because we understand that it is important and necessary. And especially because, we make our own money, so we can pay the therapist out of our own pockets. But there are a lot of young girls and boys who would like to have therapy, but, it's not normalized in their societies, in their cultures. So they're afraid to ask for help from a professional. And also it gets harder for them because probably they're not making their own money, so they cannot pay the therapist with their own pockets. So they have to depend on somebody else to pay for them. And if that person doesn't think that professional help is really necessary, then they're just stuck in a place where they cannot get the professional help. What would you say to those youngsters? How can they put up a fight for themselves and put on a brave face and, just respect themselves and have people respect them?
Oh, that's a really difficult question, actually, because I feel like even now, and we're still like at this part of our life where we're like developing. I feel like all of us are still kind of developing individuals.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah, like, what would I do? I would just try and think for myself. If I say yes now to this person who is forcing me into making this decision, or who is making me this uncomfortable, or even like this job offer or this teacher, he makes me uncomfortable. Am I going to be satisfied at the end of the day? How am I going to feel every day if I say yes now? Is it going to be, how is it going to be? And imagine this scenario, and then the right answer will pop up. Because it happens so many times that you gotta weigh both pros and cons of behaving in a mild and kind way, or still being firm but kind, just as long as you're not being aggressive, just communicate it in a non-aggressive way, I would say, just firm and kind. And that's when people will start actually paying attention to your opinion and to who you are.
Right. And putting yourself first is very important. I like your strategy that you need to sit with yourself and think about, okay, if so-and-so person is treating me this way and I feel like this about it, do I want to keep feeling this way, or do I want to change how I feel? That's very... Wow, Mariam, I'm so impressed by you right now. Now, let's go back in time and let's tell our listeners how we met.
Okay.
This is how I remember. You can also share how you remember it.
Okay.
I remember that it was my, like you were 18 years old. I think I was 22 years old when I went to China. And, in Pakistan, I had such a protective environment. I was such a baby of the family. I was the princess of the family, and everything was done for me. I never had to lift a finger. So I moved to China in Beijing in the Communication University of China, and I'm all by myself, and I'm thinking, wait, I have to do everything myself here? Even the smallest of tasks, like depositing money in the bank account or ironing your clothes or washing your clothes, washing the dishes. I had to do everything myself, and I was so overwhelmed by it because I was never used to it. So I remember there was no Wi-Fi in my room, and somebody told me that, you buy a router and then you call somebody and they will connect the wire, stuff like this. And I was like, what is happening? And I couldn't find, anybody to install the Wi-Fi router. And I was so confused and not happy about the situation that I think I was standing outside the dorm waiting for somebody to help me. And then you came. And you were with, I think, your Korean friends, two or three of them. And you spoke to me, and then you told me, okay, wait, you have friends who can also speak Chinese and they can install a router or something like this. And I was so grateful. I brought you all up to my room, and your Korean friend installed the router for me, and my Wi-Fi was working. That's how we met the first time, right?
Yeah, exactly. I remember just a girl standing on the way to the dorm. And I was like, okay, she has a router, something's up. Okay, maybe we should help her. Yeah, it was my, the Korean couple. They were one of the first people I met on the campus. Yeah, it's a fun memory. Yeah, just remember now.
And I offered you guys milk tea or something.
Yeah.
Did you have it, or you politely refused?
I don't remember anymore. Oh my God.
Yeah, neither do I.
Yeah.
And then,
oh shit.
And then we met on and off, because it was a university. So people used to have some get-togethers, or there was a little restaurant nearby where everybody used to gather. So that's where we met on and off. And then I think we just started talking more and more. And then, I don't know, it just happened. We just became friends then.
Yeah, but then we also met at the Christmas party, or wait, was it New Year's party? Yeah. I think we went back home together to the dorm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then we started chatting more, and we were like, then I transferred to another university, and we still kept in touch. And then we moved to Shanghai the same year.
Yes, and are moving to Shanghai. Wait, when you moved to another university, I remember we were both sad because you were not happy at this university, and you went to a better university actually, because the program that you were pursuing, this other university offered a better one, and it had better quality as well. It had better ranking in that program. So you had to move anyway, and we were not really, excited about it, but you said, okay, we'll stay in touch, and you did make it happen. You did stay in touch with me, and we used to meet up for lunches or dinners. Sometimes you used to come over to the university, or sometimes, we would meet somewhere else, and it was a lot of fun. And the Shanghai move happened coincidentally for us, because we both didn't know that we were going to move together. And I happened to have applied to a university over there, and you had also happened to have applied. And then we both found out, hey, we're both going to Shanghai. And it was such a comforting thought, for me at least, to know that, okay, somebody that I know is going to be in Shanghai, because it was a brand new city for both of us.
Yeah, exactly.
You can add more to this thought.
Yeah, I mean, it was totally coincidental. It was really fun. I was really happy to find out that you were actually moving to Shanghai as well, because I didn't have any friends at that point of time. Me with always moving to different universities, always changing my environment. I feel like I was kind of crazy about it. I switched 4 universities. And I don't even know why, and feel like I was just not happy with myself, just unsettled, within, no balance whatsoever. And in Shanghai, you were there at CSU, so Shanghai International University, improving your Chinese, and you really honed your skills. It was amazing. And I just started my bachelor's, which was also really an amazing experience for me, to be honest. So yeah, that's how it all happened.
And we had our one favorite place where we used to meet often. Do you remember the name?
Where was it? Which one?
It started with an F. It was like in that place where there was a line of restaurants. In Shanghai, there were quite limited places to go as compared to Beijing. And also because we were students and we were working as well, so we couldn't really afford to go to fancy places often.
Yeah.
But it started with an F in Shanghai.
Shanghai.
Yeah. Do you remember?
No, I don't remember.
In that line, they had those Mariam.
I don't remember. Wait.
Yeah, neither do I.
Wait. Was it like? Do you remember the metro?
Foursquare? Fuxia?
No, I feel like I'm losing touch with my city. Oh my God, that's really bad.
Yeah, and you couldn't go back due to the pandemic, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I feel
what about everything?
What about everything? Well, my stuff is still there.
Yeah.
Just one of my Chinese friends is taking care of it, and he's supposed to move my stuff to one of his facilities. Yeah. And that's kind of exciting because I don't have to pay for the storage anymore. Because I used to pay
that's good.
a monthly fee of like 750 kwai.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because before when I moved, so when I came back, that was just like a winter vacation, right? And it was the end of January 2020, and then in March they shut down the borders, right? And everything just went chaotic, and so I was still paying for my apartment, and then I was like, fuck it, how long is it gonna last? And I hired a company that moved my stuff for me. So we had a video call, and they packed it all. They packed all of my stuff, and then I got my deposit back happily.
That's good.
Yeah, thankfully, for the first time ever, my full deposit. And then, they moved it to a storage facility, where you have to pay, depending on the amount of boxes you have. And I have 25 boxes.
Oh my God. So much stuff.
Well, it's also because of the way they're packing, really.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Because, they're just trying to make as much as possible, as usual,
They want to make more money.
Of course, it's all about profits, so I'm not even surprised. And now I graduated online in July, actually. So, yeah, this month, actually. Oh,
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And it's just crazy because I cannot even believe that I graduated online and not with all of my friends. I haven't seen them for so long. And yeah, then I applied for a master program for actually journalism and media communications at Dallas University. So they told me it will be online. And I was like, okay, I cannot wait anymore because, studying online, it's not nearly the same quality.
Of course, and it's not just about studying, it's about the entire experience of being in a university, meeting people, interacting with the teachers.
Exactly. It's not the same. And I don't want to pay the same money for this kind of experience. And I just didn't want to lose touch with China and miss out on all of the career opportunities I would have if I was in China, right? So if I come back, when I come back, that will be probably 2022.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have to wait that long because it's a 1 year suspension. That's
crazy.
Yeah, and now I have to decide what I'm going to do with this 1 year.
You are already doing something. Let us know what you're doing right now. And wait, before you tell us, I need to put this out there that Mariam is fluent in 3 languages. She is fluent in Russian, in Mandarin, and in English. Reading, writing, speaking, listening, all of it. So what are you doing currently?
Actually, I am freelance translating for a Malaysian company, right? And I'm doing Chinese.
What do you translate?
Well, I translate all kinds of texts. It's always different. One day I translated a user interface for an application. And then I translate. So we are vendors for Factor Edge, if you know the company. And they're creating an AI, which we're supposed to train. So this AI is similar to Google Translate or to Baidu Translate, whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah, and we have to. So I'm doing MTP, which is machine translation plus editing. So I get a bunch of different texts, and I have to edit them in order for them to sound fluently, as if the native speaker wrote the sentence. So it's always different articles. Like it can be about cryptocurrency, medicine, fashion, retail, just all kinds of contexts. And sometimes it's games or books. So
wow. I mean, and these things require a lot of technical knowledge of these languages. How do you deal with that?
Well, I have a bunch of different dictionaries I use, and I always compare the context. Like if I don't know the word, I look it up. Let's say Chinese one. I look it up in Baidu and see how they use it within what context. And then I just apply it in the Russian context and compare. And then I also have a quality score every month, so that the quality managers, they check my translations, the punctuation, the reading style, and everything. And it has to be, always pretty high if you want to.
Of course.
Stay on the project. But it's freelance, and at the moment I'm studying graphic design as well, because I want to be in this field, as it's also part of marketing, create digital advertising. And I really like the visual side of things of marketing. That's what I understood for myself. And I want to learn and build a set of skills for that while working as a translator, and perhaps find another side gig, or maybe work somewhere else full time, because now it's getting a bit confusing at this point of time. Yeah.
And the freelance projects that you've just mentioned, they sound so hard to do. And you're such an intelligent person to actually be doing all of this. I'm even more impressed. This is amazing, Mariam.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's really an interesting experience, because I've never worked as a translator before. It's not even my profession. So I had zero experience, and they hired me. So after I completed the test, of course. And it was just it really is interesting. Yeah.
Wow. On this very intelligent note, I have to unfortunately say that we have reached the time limit of our podcast. It was so much fun to talk to you about your family, your growth, your experience in China, and with what you're doing right now. Thank you so much for sparing time to speak with me on this podcast.
Thank you to you too. And I was happy to, talk to you again.
Yeah.
Feeling a bit nostalgic about our China time together. It's quite amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If one of us remember the name of that place, we must send a text. It started with an F.
Yeah, okay. I need to check it, because I don't remember. Oh man. Okay.
Thank you, Mariam. You have to prepare a very simple meal for tonight, which is not simple at all. Let's stay in touch, and let's hope the listeners had a lot of takeaways from your experiences. And guys, this was it for today's episode for you of You, Me, and a Mug of Tea. My guest for today was Mariam Iskhakova from Russia. And I will return again next week with a brand new episode and a brand new guest.